Good afternoon. This is Delegate Neil Parrott. It's February the 11th, and earlier today I spoke to the Washington County Commissioners about how there's the needle giveaway program here in Washington County. The more I learn about this, the more I'm upset about this program, that it's really doing nothing to help people get away from their drug addiction. All it does is feed their drug addiction. It's like a starter kit to give them the needles, the tourniquet. They even give them the cooker so they can cook the drugs and put it in the needle. The only thing they're not giving them is the actual drugs themselves. I think it's disappointing that that's happening in our county, Washington County. It's only happening in 3 places in the state. That's Baltimore City, Frederick County, and Washington County. And this bill simply does, it says that Washington County will be exempt from the statewide enabling legislation so that Washington County could not offer this program. And I think it's very, very helpful. We don't need to have Hagerstown, Washington County, be a magnet for people who are doing drugs. We need to stop that. We need to help people get off of drugs. And let me just turn it over. You go ahead and see what was said at the Washington County hearing today. I think you'll be surprised at what I pull out of the black bag that my aide Nick got when he went and visited yesterday to see exactly what this is all about. So thanks for watching, and please give some comments at the end. If you get a chance, please go to parrott2020.org. I'd love to have you visit the site. Thank you.
Final matter is a request from Delegate Parrott for a letter of support for House Bill 1516. He is here and would like to address the commissioners.
All right, Neil, during citizens' participation, please introduce your team and the matter. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Commissioner Klein and Commissioners. It's my honor to be here today to talk to you just a little bit about House Bill 1516. And to my right, I've got Nick Allman. He works with me in Annapolis. This is the needle giveaway program. And the bill would simply say that Washington County would be exempt from the statewide program. Currently, around the state, only 3 jurisdictions actually have this program operating. The city of Baltimore, and they've had it for about 25 years. Washington County, of course, and Frederick County. In the city of Baltimore, they've had it since 1994, about, again, like 25 years. And unfortunately, one of the big reasons for the program is to limit blood-transmitted diseases. And we just read in January that Baltimore has the highest rate of blood-transmitted diseases of any city in the entire country. So whatever they're doing there in Baltimore is not working, unfortunately. And I think with this program, too, it sends the wrong message that government is endorsing doing drugs, when really that would simply be the wrong message to be sending by giving people drug paraphernalia when they go to the health department. And one last thing, with this program, it used to be, when it started, a needle exchange program. So you'd go in, you'd get needles, and then you had to turn them back in to get more needles. They found that wasn't working, and so the legislature changed it. So now it's simply a needle giveaway program. No one has to turn in needles to get more needles. And unfortunately, what we see now is a proliferation of needles all across the city of Baltimore. It's ending up in their storm drains, but we're also seeing a proliferation of needles here in Hagerstown, where just this summer, a 2-year-old who was playing in Hagerstown City Park pricked themselves with a needle that was probably a drug needle, just simply discarded. And thankfully, there wasn't fentanyl in that needle, because if there was, she would have died on the spot. And also, there was an officer just a month ago who was stuck when he was trying to clear out the drug excess bin, where needles were not supposed to be, but this person had dumped a ton of needles. So to investigate this a little bit, I asked my aide to go yesterday into the health department to find out what happens, what is actually given to people when they ask for this kit. So first, it's anonymous, so they didn't take his exact name, but they had different things so he could identify himself if he came in later, and they gave him a card. He did get needles. They actually don't just have one set of needles. They asked him, would you like the thick kind or the thin kind, long or small? And so he went in and got 20 needles in 2 packs like this without any question at all. They also gave him 2 Narcan packs. They gave him alcohol pads so you can keep yourself clean, and get some more things to keep yourself clean as you're doing this. They gave an instruction kit on how you can safely give yourself an injection. They gave them things to clean the needles when they're done. Here's another Narcan. They gave them the actual tourniquet that you can use to clot off the blood so you can do it better to give yourself the drug. They also gave him a kit that they could take back to return the needles. Of course, I don't believe many people are doing this. That's why we're seeing them all over the place. And there is no requirement they would return the needles. One other thing they gave them was a packet of information. And in this packet, I would have hoped, at the very least, that they would have talked about Narcotics Anonymous. They would have sent them to some good places where they could have actually gotten some help. There is no help in this packet for someone to get off of drugs. And actually, one of the pamphlets here talks about how abstinence from drugs, I'll just go ahead and read it. We believe recovery is not the same as abstinence, and abstinence is not always necessary for recovery. Well, I don't see how you get off of drugs without stopping doing drugs. I think this, again, is sending the wrong message to people who really need help in our community. And the last thing I want to point out, this is drug paraphernalia that they're handing out. Here are the actual pans that you can use to melt the drug that you would put inside of the needles. So basically, this is a drug starter kit for someone who wants to get involved in injecting drugs. I think it's very unfortunate. Again, I think it sends the wrong message. That's why I'd really encourage today that you all would support House Bill 1516 so that we would exempt Washington County from the needle giveaway program.
You go ahead, Wayne. You want to go? You know, I think, you know, personally, I'm sort of drawn between two, you know, blood transfer disease. If your information is correct, it doesn't work in at least Baltimore, if that's correct information. I guess my school of thought, it sort of enables. I'm disappointed in that package. I'm disappointed that they would not offer more than here's your needles.
What's the value of that package? Is there a price tag, the Narcan?
That's a good question. This is all taxpayer money that's funded. I don't know. I have no idea what the value of the package
I'm sure
is.
they have programs, but when I'm handing in your aid that package, I'm very disappointed there's not, and you say there, I didn't see the package, you say there's nothing in there to help me get counseling.
No, I mean, they gave you this, which is just a number to the health department, so you can, a drink
Right.
coaster. I mean, harm reduction works, but it's not helpful. Again, I just read you a quote from there. This is just promoting their program. It doesn't help anyone get off of drugs. I'm disappointed by that as well.
Yeah, that doesn't, and I wanted to gather more information from the health department. Looks like you already did that. And I wanted to see how your delegations felt about it. But it's a local concern. And I have a little bit of a concern that needles end up to the next person because they don't want to go to the health department and get them. There's another location, right?
So the location where Mr. Allman went was the health department that's located closer to the school, not the one that's on Pennsylvania Avenue,
Right.
north.
And I'm not throwing stones at the health department. I think basically they do a pretty good job, but that does disappoint me that we wouldn't be concentrating more on, I mean, in my opinion, the whole root of Hagerstown's problem is the drug problem. Okay, so we can stop maybe some blood transfer diseases, HIV, hepatitis, whatever. Mm-hmm. It disappoints me a little bit that we're not, you know, and I don't have the answer, so I shouldn't make a statement, but, you know, all walks of life are affected. And, but I'm just, you know, I tend to agree with what you're doing, so.
I would make a motion to support House Bill 1516. I think it's pretty disturbing, everything you were pulling out of that bag, and it didn't stop. You kept pulling things out. You know, the value of that's a taxpayer cost, certainly, but what if that was supplies for insulin to help diabetic patients? I called the health department this morning to see if they offer any needles or any supplies for diabetic patients, and they said, no, we don't. I think it's disappointing that we would supply those supplies to help aid drug abuse, but not to help diabetic patients. So I make a motion to support your bill.
Thank you.
We have a motion. We could go a second for the letter and have more discussion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Is there any other discussion?
Yeah, I just had one question. You had mentioned that the city of Baltimore is the highest in the state. Is that a number or by percentage? Probably both,
Yeah.
but-
So the city of Baltimore has the highest rate of blood transmitted diseases in the entire country, and that's by percentages.
I see both sides, but that kit. Seems like we're enabling it. If we were enabling it, what are we going to do to help stop those applying for those?
And in addition, maybe you could talk to Commissioner Kiefer about insulin being provided to for our community. And maybe that'd be a good bill to put in.
One other comment I have, I am going to ask Mr. Stoner maybe to come in at a later date and give a full presentation to the public and the board about that program. I have a first and a second. Is there any other conversation? All in favor of writing a letter, I guess based on, will you help us provide the language? Will staff interpret it and we all get to review it before it goes out? When do you want this letter by?
Really just as soon as possible.
Okay, before your meeting Wednesday, tomorrow? That'd
If
be appropriate.
possible.
I think we can do that. We can get a letter out to review it, so we're all in.
Could I ask one more question?
Sir?
How many of those kits are issued in Washington County?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know the answer, but I do know that this only took 15 minutes, this whole process. Mr. Allman was in and out in 15 minutes, and in the time that he was in, someone else did come in that walked right back into the storage room, and he's used to just coming and going. They had to ask him to go out because Mr. Allman was there. I don't know. I imagine that it's a
I
lot.
just assumed it was just a needle program.
Well, and it's not just one needle. There are 20 different types of needles that people can get when they go there.
Discussion being over, call for a vote to support a letter.
Aye.
Favor say aye.
Aye.
4-0. Thank you, and just thank you. I know this was citizen participation, but the importance of this matter, we wanted to be able to have you make your presentation and extend your time a little longer, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.